time now for Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace and former Ottawa Senator Jason York.
Happy Monday, everybody. Brent Wallace alongside Jason York. Welcome to Coming In Hot. It brought to you by Bet365. Yorkie, good morning. I do have news for you. I just want to know how you're doing first.
Okay, doing great. Yeah, doing great. This is big news. Should I be excited about this? Is this?
We have breaking news for you. I've been waiting since Saturday to tell you. As you know, the Ottawa Awards were recently out. Voting ended. I would like to tell you that I made a plaque and everything. The 2025 Sports Podcast of the Year, as voted on by millions. So I got you your plaque.
Okay, how come that doesn't say #1 talk show? I thought we were a talk show. What's going on here? We're not a podcast. We're a talk show.
Baby steps. We're back-to-back champs. And then finally, but wait, there's more, Yorkie.
Yes.
We were also voted best YouTube channel.
Okay.
We're a multi-award winning show.
Best YouTube channel, best sport. And what about our good friend Eric for content creator? Did he get in there?
No.
No. By the way, you're on your AirPods, so you're sounding very hollowy right now, Wally.
Here we go. So there we are. Congrats for all the work that Eric does, by the way. He's part of this group. And Jake, our producer, he's also a big part. So we've got a great team. Jake has stepped up his best producer in the talk show business, and Eric does a bang up job as well. Rolling out the content. Some great content this weekend too, Wally. We were on a roll. Eric had some beauties. Eric, yeah. Anyway, he's up this game. Well, you got to when you join the award-winning talk show. So let's get on with it, shall we? But anyway,
I knew Wally. By the way, I knew. I was waiting for you to tell me because I knew you wanted to. I knew you were going to slide this in.
Okay. All right. Well, I have your plaque here.
Did I look surprised? Did I have a surprise face? I'm like a kid at Christmas.
This is how you always look.
It's like what I used to do when I was young. I'd sneak into my parents' closet and find out what we were getting for Christmas, and then have to look surprised Christmas morning.
I did that too. Yeah. Did that too. You know what? My grandmother, when she got older, would write on this small ink on the outside what the gift was, so we would always just find what it is before we didn't have to open it. Anyway,
all I got was hockey equipment. Anyway, I got tape, and there was always. I used to hide my hockey sticks underneath the couch. My brother would bring me home a pair of hockey gloves. It was just hockey all the time, and maybe a sweater from Granny.
Oh, I used to get socks from my other grandparents. I don't think they like me. All right, can we start? Let's not waste any more valuable time. As one Bukauskas, who knows a thing about doing a good podcast, is. He's well above the Ottawa Awards. He is a national podcast.
National treasure.
He is a treasure. And by the way, we'll bring him on. Hey, wait a sec. Kyle, welcome to the show before we get any more lost here. Good morning. Is it a late night?
My weekend at Bernie's entrance. What kind of host invites you to his house over the weekend and dies? Congrats on the Faces Honor settlement. That's terrific. So
big day.
We haven't won any awards at our show. So listen, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Every day you turn on any kind of rankings, you're just sitting there at the top, just looking down at everybody else. So it's because you do a great job.
Kyle, wake up. Welcome to Chit Chat time. This is what we do to start every show. We got 10 minutes of chit chat where we like to go off script. You like some good chit chat, don't you?
Yes, especially in the morning. You know, Jason, I love my cup of coffee. I saw Brent's got one going here. You've got one. I haven't got one here yet. So I was telling you, I am Randy Johnson in the 2001 World Series here. I am pitching on short rest. We were up late last night recording. Elliot usually comes in as soon as possible whenever there's a travel day. We're down in Florida for the GM meetings, and he had some family stuff going on, so he ended up coming in a bit later. And a little bit later turned into a little bit later. Anyway, so it was a late night getting our show done. And then at 6:20 this morning, I get woken up to an alert on my phone that there was a tornado warning, and it's like in all caps, take cover now. I'm like, What? And then, you're in like this half asleep daze where you're starting to convince yourself of things that you really don't know anything about. I'm like, the ocean's right over here. Like the tornadoes don't come out this way. Like tornadoes are for the farmland. Like we're fine. I don't think anything too serious came of it. I looked when I finally tuned just after 8:00 local time. I think we're okay that anything tornado wise was avoided. But good start to the trip.
Kyle, I could tell you've got the old little the voice is a little raspier this morning. You could tell that after a late night and a few beverages. I got to ask you, Wally was telling me a story before you came on. You didn't hear this, and Wally said, I don't know how long ago this was, because everybody the big thing everybody does, they always talk about your hair, this, and I was joking to Wally. I'm like, I have one picture only, and I don't want to show the picture now where your hair is not perfect. But Wally said there's another one. We don't have the pic, but he said you guys were out one night.
I think we might have it.
You got the pic?
Let me see, Jake.
He said,
look at that.
He said, look at Wally's hairdo. He looks like he's hammered.
No.
Where is
this? So this is downtown DC. We're covering the 2018 Stanley Cup Finals between the Capitals and the Golden Knights. And this was the night of, so it's nice. The league has, in each city, kind of in the off day between the two home games, between games 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4, they put on, a league event for, media and the broadcasters to go to. There's food to eat. There's some drinks to consume, and it's just a great kind of socializing. It's been a long year. Everyone's a little bit low on energy at that point, and just a good kind of opportunity to hang out. So yeah, Brent was covering it there with TSN at the time. I was there with Sportsnet. We were handling things, and anyway, it was great because here's the thing. So this is so 2018. I mean, I'd known Brent for a few years now, but still, I was very early on in my career. Brent was an established bureau chief at this point. But I remember when I first was introduced to him, when I moved to Ottawa back in 2014, the first time, and they said, yeah, this is Brent Wallace. He's a lovable asshole. You'll get to know. And then that was the term. And then I remember like a few months in, I'm like, when does the lovable part come around? But it did. And then that was the night where I'm like, this is my guy. Because I remember we were both kind of hungry after that event, and we're like, McDonald's? Well, yeah, let's go. And we went.
Well,
Kyle,
Kyle, it was other thing I learned about Wally too is Wally doesn't mind saving the odd dollar. And I heard that was a free bar. That's all first thing we got on the show today. He's like, as I was Kyle, it was a free bar, so of course we got hammered because it was free. Like, well, Wally long pockets.
I think that's just that's across the board in this business, Yorkie. As you'll remember, that you put free on anything here in the media landscape, and they're like, they come just lurching from beneath the carpet and through the trees. It's just like they can't get there quick enough.
Listen, I got to tell you something. I don't know if you listened to this pod. This was Wally just had his anniversary 2 weeks ago, Kyle. And I know you.
Oh yes.
When it's an anniversary or a special occasion, you do it upright. Wally took his beautiful bride to Lone Star because it was 50% off night. That's yes. It was half price fajitas. So all right, anniversary night.
So I did catch that, and because Brent and Lisa are kind enough to take our dog Barry here this weekend. Dana, my wife's going to be out of town. I've got another work trip coming up, and so when I initially put the ask in, that was part of my persuading, is that I would hand him a blank check with Lone Star labeled on it on the memo, for he can go and spend. He doesn't even have to wait to half off night. Anything there for taking care of our guys. So we're appreciative.
Perfect.
I'm starting to rethink this, by the way, after all this.
Aren't you glad, Kyle? Aren't you glad, Kyle? Like I never knew that one term, lovable asshole.
Yeah, see, who said this? Who said this?
Yeah, who said that, Kyle?
I remember it was, but I remember it was like at the press dining at the Canadian Tire Center before one of the games. No, and you were like sitting there. You were sitting there, Brent. It's not like someone was trying to like say something behind your back or anything. Like you were right there. Like it was kind of an understood thing at the time.
Oh,
No, I kid, of course.
Too.
Brent has been very good to me over the years. But I always remember that first conversation and the description after meeting you all those years ago.
This show's over. This is it. We're see you tomorrow, everybody. I'm shocked at your hair because I don't know how many hours of sleep you've had. It doesn't sound like there's been very many. You like have woken up to like it's perfect, and it's funny.
I don't wake up like this.
Well, it would appear. Anyway, we'll move on.
Listen, I got Wally. There's only one person. There's only one pitcher known to man that has, even in hockey, because I saw Mendez had the ringette thing, and the hockey. Kyle's hair was still great. I have one pitcher, and it's from many years ago. Kyle, it actually kind of, I think it's when Kyle kind of goes toe and toe what's going on with the Sens right now, because this could be the Sens making the playoffs this year. We could see some pitchers like this, but this is from Kyle's minor hockey days when Kyle was a young, strapping player. Caught live in the dressing room after. We got the pick, Jake.
There he is. Right there. Oh my gosh!
Wow,
it's been a while since I've seen this one.
Number one,
great. Yeah, fresh off an Island championship. And we did not win very often. So that was a big day for us. Yeah, knocked off Nanaimo in their building, game 3 of the best of 3 finals to go to provincials. Our 2 biggest games that year, we were tied going into the third period. And both instances, we scored 3 unanswers in the third to pull away. So we were a good third period team that year. Yeah, that was a fun day. Wacky hair be damned back then. But thanks for the memories, Yorkies. Yes, I know. We didn't get to flash that, as I say. We didn't get to flash that very often. So milk that for as long as we could.
Good friend Scott Lennox. I actually thought we put that on one of our broadcasts we did together, Kyle, back in the old.
That's right. It ended up on half the shows. That was half our shows. It's like just entertaining ourselves back then. It was so much fun.
It's kind of like this show.
Yeah. Yes. But you've got a good talk show.
And lastly, little known fact, you and I share the same family of hair barber stylists.
Yep.
That can't be
true.
Really?
Brothers. And in fact, Frank, my guy who I've gone to for like 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I see Frank. He's in Florida right now on vacation. He's there for like 3 months, and I don't know what to do because I haven't had anybody else cut my hair really.
Right. I had
that's why it looks like it.
And then with Dino, I had a scheduling conflict where I was on the road for a long time with 4 Nations. I came back just kind of as the time as he went on a family trip down here to Florida, coincidentally enough. So it was like an extended period without getting cleaned up. Yeah. But it's funny you bring that up only because like Jason's the real reason behind all of this, because he was the one that directed me to Dino in the first place. Like when I first moved to Ottawa. And before all of that, like no one said anything twice about my hair. And anyway, now it's different.
Dino's the man. And it's, because this goes back to like 19, again, kind of pulls the Sens into this. 1997, when Damian Rhodes was going platinum blonde for the hardcore Sens fans. It was actually Dino that said, you know what, you should go platinum blonde here. And then Rhodesy had the white hair, and he went on that great run. And that all started with Dino. So everything goes full circle, Kyle. And here we are with this. Here we are with the Sens could possibly get in the playoffs again, and we might see those fingers come up again.
Yes, that's right. It probably won't be for me this time, but my gosh, it's been too long in this market, as you guys know. That was a really impressive game over the weekend in Toronto. It started a little bit slow, but anyway, there was just tight checking. It was a mature game. We'll say that. Like they were full value. That was a lot of fun to watch.
It really was.
Well, Yorkie made the point before we got on the show that you are one of the few people to get Claude Giroux to smile in an interview. So where does that rank in your career highlights?
Yeah. Oh, definitely right up there. He comes walking out with the post-game protein shake, and Jeff Giordad, our producer, we start the interview, and just says in my ear, and of course I notice it right away, and he's going, I wonder what he's drinking. And I thought, yeah, I'm sure there's a few people that are wondering that. So it's a good way to end the conversation. And he was good to give an answer on it. And you gotta replenish right after. I love the line. Try not to lose too much weight this time of year. Most of us are going the opposite way, but
yes, that's get the beach bod going. All right, so you are in the building. What are your thoughts on that game from an Ottawa perspective? That became a pretty good marker, if you will. People are like, well, one of the top 3 teams in the Atlantic. How are they going to match up?
Yeah, I just look at, that second period in particular, guys. When you think of how far this team has come, and we talked about it a bit during the show, and then recording the pod last night with Elliot. But you look at the two Toronto goals that they score, how quick the responses were for Ottawa. Like first one, Sanderson, was I think a minute 10, and then after especially the way the Matthews goal goes in, where Allmark has the mishandle there, like that could have been crippling for Ottawa. And I'm sure there were versions of this team in years past where that would have been the end of the night for them. Maybe even have to go back to like November of this year. You think about a goal like that goes in Toronto on a Saturday night. Are they coming back for that game? I'm not convinced. But just over 3 minutes later, it's tied again. What a shot by David Perron, by the way. And then they get the lead and they don't give it up. I mean, it was like if Ottawa has 9 lives, like they used 8 of them there over the final 2.5 minutes trying to close that thing out. But they got it done, and I really like. Craig Simpson highlighted, especially in the third period, just a few instances. Yorkie, I'm sure you picked up on it. Just some decision making about, okay, like there's 2 forwards down low. I know there's one replay of Giroux where he stays high. Like they didn't put themselves into any trouble where they were in danger of beating themselves or anything self-inflicted. And I liked, we got a chance just to talk with Travis Green briefly in the second intermission, and that was his line, was like, be aggressive but do it with hockey sense. And I thought that was really interesting, and I thought a good way, obviously, to go about it for them. And that's how they looked for a lot of the night there. Like they just, I know like Toronto forced some things on them there in the second when they got going, but over the course of the entire game, they were a team that just handled a lot of the bigger moments just a little bit better than their opponent.
Three things that have really stood out for me since the Sens have got on this streak, Kyle. Number one, Jake Sanderson. He's gone to another level. Oh. He's at another level, and I've seen a bunch of games live, and he's just so impressive. Number two, that third line of Ottawa's now. We'll call it the third line. I know Travis, he doesn't really have numbers, but the way Pinto's playing right now, and my God, Amadio, the Amadio haters have gone. They've gone into hiding because and you want to get on people. People will admit when they're wrong too. Like, he is such a smart player, and you look at David Perron, he looks rejuvenated. But the third thing, since they've gotten Cousins, the play of Drake Batherson, like he's added another element to his game. And I don't know about you're there ice level, Kyle, and watching how physical he's playing. He was like a dog on a bone in that game against Toronto. He just looks like the physicality of Cousins has rubbed off on the Drake, and the two of them, they're out on seek and destroy missions every shift. Like he's been Batherson has been really, really impressive this last little stretch, and so too the other 2 points I made.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything there, Jason. Like on Drake, like I felt, when he has been playing his best hockey, like there has been that element, like even on top of, the goals going in a little more frequently. And of course, scoring 2 against Boston the other night, like that allows him to exhale a little bit. I know he was, kind of fighting it at times, and just, the instinctive option for him for a while was to defer instead of shoot when the confidence was a little bit higher, but seems to be starting to work his way out of that. But to your point, like if you're not scoring as much as you want, at least you've got, the other parts of your game in order. And Dylan Cousins certainly, helping bringing that out in him. And the fact that they've got a little bit of a history there is a bonus as well. I want to mention like the Pinto line, of course, like when Travis Green can get the matchups, like that's their matchup line. Like they started the game on Saturday. I think they started each period. I think Berube threw the Lawton line out against them to try to get away, get Matthews and Marner away from it a little bit. But that's the line that the Travis really trusts. And the other guy on that line too, Jason, like Ridley Gregg, who I think has very quietly become a real effective player as the season has gone on. And I think internally, I'm sure they probably admit that, I think there's a sense around the group that, maybe they force fed him a little higher in the lineup early on in the year. Part of it was because they didn't have a choice because of the injuries and stuff. Like, they just needed bodies to play. But still, a very young player. I know he's been around for a little bit now. It seems like he's older than he actually is, still figuring out the league. And now you're seeing like just a guy who's very quietly being doing just a real effective job at what he's being asked to do. And through all of that, like, I just wanted to point out like Fabian Zetterlund, right? So I think he was under 9 minutes on Saturday. And I'm sure lots are kind of wondering, well, hold on, like, we were really excited about getting this guy. We haven't seen a ton of him. He's been down on the fourth line this entire time since he's got here. I look at that and I think, this is a team that is going well right now. And you can't tell me that the rest of the guys, and Jason, you can speak to this better than anybody, the rest of the forwards there up the lineup, they're well aware that guy's waiting in the wings down there.
Well aware.
So if things start to slip, that switch can happen at any moment. And so I don't think that there's a coincidence that, he comes in. Obviously it makes your team a little bit deeper. The team's rolling in general. But the fact they're starting to score a little more, you're seeing, the effectiveness of each line in different ways. Guys don't want to give up their spots knowing that Zetterlund's waiting there, and Travis wouldn't hesitate to make the swap if he feels he needs to. He just hasn't had to yet.
Nope.
Well, just take a look. Here's David Perron's numbers of late. I think we have it, Jake, if I'm not mistaken. In his first 20 games, his point per game was 0.2, right? And now it's 0.75 or 3/4 of a point per game. Like, that's just over his last 6 games. That can't be right. 8 games, I think it is. Last 8 games. You can just see that him and Michael Amadio have both upped their games when it comes offensively.
Yeah. And I look at just a pro, like, this is the time of year that benefits him. You know what I mean? Like, these are the games that he is great at. Like, that becomes difference makers where it slows down a little bit. And, I was saying last night, like, just the areas of the ice that are more hotly contested as teams kind of enter the playoff mode, like, those are the battles that he can still win at this stage of his career. And I think he's a guy too, I think he's heard the whispers of, it's too slow. He's just a little too older now. Like, the pace of the game is too much and starting to pass him by. Those on the outside that are starting to wonder that. And I think, obviously, a very proud guy. There's a reason why he's been around the league as long as he has. And I think he looks at a situation where, okay, yeah, maybe the one-on-one foot race. There's guys that, I may not be able to completely edge out compared to early on in my career, but you throw the puck below the dots, below the goal line, and put me and another guy in there. And I think he likes his chances of, coming out with it more often than not. And that is of great value as we move on here and the Senators continue to push for a spot and beyond that in the playoffs.
Well, it was crazy. And I tweeted this out Saturday night after the game. Puck battles won in that game. So we the analytics numbers, we see them, we can get the emails with them and everything. Ottawa won 73% of the contested puck battles in that game against Toronto. Toronto 28%. So to your point, like, guys like Perron are doing it, Batherson. And here's another crazy stat for you guys. It's got this from producer Eric in the chat. Drake Batherson, last 5 games, 18 hits.
Wow.
17 in the previous 10. So, and that's a little pod bump in there as well. He came on the talk show for a while. The next day he got a couple goals. So that never hurts. It never hurts. But the stats don't lie. Like he's Wally. Like, come on. The way he's been playing, and not just
it's the cooking. It's his mom in town. The shepherd's pie.
The shepherd's pie, pod bump. Cousins.
Now, Yorkie, I will point out the day after Drake signed the jersey that we gave away on the show, he did score his hat trick. So something's
in the water. Something's going on.
Something in the coming hot waters. This is why you earn awards.
If you say coming in hot from now on, you have to say multi-award winning coming in hot. I think that's
that's like
trademark.
Yes, that's right. It's like Scott Oak at our network, right? He's going to be put into the receiving the Order of Canada. So now everything is His Excellence. It's got to be His Excellence, yes. Scott Oak, right? So now this is multi-award winning coming in hot. I love it.
So there you go. We just got to get Zetterlund on the show, and then he will come up. But I agree with you on that point with Zetterlund, because people aren't saying it as much. there's no place you can't elevate him in the lineup right now. You can't mess with the third line. You're not messing with that second line, and you're not separating Giroux, Stützle, and Tkachuk. So unfortunately for now, he finds himself on that fourth line. But Travis Green's a smart coach. He's finding a way to use him, getting him on that second power play. So he's getting some looks there. And he didn't get an assist on that power play goal, but he made a nice play on the boards, getting his body in there. But it's tough. I'll just tell you guys, when you go from playing in San Jose on one of their top two lines and averaging whatever around 17 minutes a game down to 9, you'll look slow. You'll look slow because your body's not used to it, and you're always kind of not a step behind, but you're just not playing in the moment because your body has to adjust to playing a different role. And it's really difficult. It's really difficult. And I tell you, I went from being a top 4D in my last year to being a bottom 6, from like playing 18, 20 to sometimes 8 to 9 minutes. It is really, really difficult. So it's an adjustment, but it'll play itself out. Something will happen. It's a great thing to have depth. And to your point, Kyle, it really does puts pressure on the other group without even saying anything, because there's now depth in the organization. So they know that if you have a slip up, someone's waiting to take your spot. And that's a good thing. Competition is really good to have in your lineup, especially this time of year.
Yeah. And the thing is too, I think today, Brent, correct me if I'm wrong, I think today will be the first actual like off day practice for the Fabian Zetterlands and Dylan Cousins and Dennis Gilberts of the world. They haven't had one yet. They've had a few morning skates, but the schedule's been so jammed and trying to get rest where they can.
Yep.
I mean, the trade deadline was already almost a week and a half ago, and they're finally getting their first full team practice. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's by the way, the Sens will skate at 11 a.m. this morning. Here, let me just take care of some business, and then we'll get back to you. We're just way behind. This show proudly presented to you by Charm, proudly Canadian owned and operated since 1972, with more than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece program. An unbeatable pricing policy. Check out a large selection of Canadian lab-grown diamonds and mine diamonds. Don't pay until 2026. Apply for the Charm Diamond Flexity card today and get approved for no interest financing on your purchase in minutes, especially if you're looking for an anniversary gift. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. Chosen forever, Charm Diamond Centers. And of course, as also by Club EG, as golf season, now that the snow is finally melting with the great weather we had this past weekend and the torrential rain. Club EG is your best bet for amazing golf this season in and around Ottawa. One membership with Club EG gets you access to 60 amazing golf courses at member-only rates. Check out the courses online. By the way, we're just giving away some of them. We'll have another one this week. We're giving away could be the Marshes, Equinel, La Sorcier, Mountain Creek, Hammond. Lots of different golf courses. Just take a look at clubeg.golf. Plenty of packages to suit you. Clubeg.golf. Let's tee it up this summer. Kyle's an excellent golfer, by the way. I have a big question right now is, can the Ottawa Senators sustain this run of now it's 6 straight games, 8 straight with points. This is a lot and taxing, if you will, down the stretch. Can Ottawa maintain this as we get into the final 16 games of their season? Kyle Bukauskas, I'm going to start with you.
Ooh, okay. I'll answer this question. At some point, we got to come back to the Charm Diamond Centers conversation. But answer your question.
We can do Charm right now. We can do Charm.
Well, I was just gonna say, you got to get Dylan Playfair involved here at some point because he's like their spokesperson. I think that would be a great person to have involved with a multi-award-winning show.
In the show,
right? But I think like you've got to yes, they need him like in the flesh. That'd be forget this guy.
Is that the guy that pretends he's working there?
It's Jim Playfair's son.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
of course, of Letterkenny fame, and anyway.
Yeah.
He's good. Sorry, I've thought that for a long time. It's such a natural fit to have him on the show one day.
He would be good.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Why don't you just take over? Why don't you line up the
guys? Yorkie was field producing over the weekend. He's sending me the link for the show. I was like, my goodness.
I know. I got a note last
night. You guys
night.
are wearing many hats here. That's
so it was a late night. message to Jake, hey, we got to add Kyle to the show title tomorrow. Yeah.
Kyle, I mean, Kyle was flying. He's in Florida. He was flying out there, going back and forth. It's a lot of behind the scenes work to get this show off the ground, if you bothered to pay attention.
No, I know it's not easy to do talk show. My point is, though, I was trying to hold off on the Kyle coming back because one more show and he gets a free mug, and I can't afford that.
That's a low inventory.
So I'm trying to space these out here. Yeah.
Oh, I get it. That's all right. I can accept. I will accept IOUs. That is okay. I really do accept that. Okay, so sustaining this over the last little bit. Sorry, Brent, I completely took your question off the rails.
No, hey, this is exactly what Yorkie does every show. You're fit right in here.
Well, you're welcome anytime, Kyle.
That's right.
No.
I'll get you a mug. Don't worry.
It is a the Good Guy Club members have a tendency to take conversations.
Here we go.
I'm surprised we took that long to bring that up.
All right.
Okay. I think, I mean, are they going to go the rest of the way without losing in regulation? I mean, probably not. But there's they're not the only team that's kind of entered playoff mode. I think that's part of what's kind of got things a little shell-shocked in Toronto over the last little bit, is because the teams around them are elevating to kind of get to that that type of style and play, and they haven't quite got there yet, and you're seeing the results for them the last little bit. But I think for Ottawa, I mean, this has been an emotional stretch. It's been very busy. We just talked about just the little practice time, but every team is kind of going through it to some extent. This has just been a real condensed season with the Four Nations, right? And I think that's going to be a talking point here over these GM meetings that we're down here for in Florida the next few days, of kind of what's the future for the schedule across the whole league, because I think everyone's feeling it to some extent here. But I remember, again, going back to that Hamburglar run in 2015, they gave so much just to get in there. And I don't even think they completely ran out of steam against Montreal in the first round. I mean, you can make the case that maybe Andrew Hammond himself did a little bit, but because those first three games were so tight, they all just didn't go their way. But it's human nature when you're pushing so long just to get the accomplishment of finally ending the playoff drought, to naturally take a little bit of an exhale. But I think this team has been so starved for this, and the people that are playing the starring roles and important supporting roles within that dressing room. I can't see a scenario where they allow things to relax a little too much here. But naturally there's going to be that feeling of controlling your emotions over the next little while. I mean, they put themselves in such a great position where at least this run that has given them the fact where if they can at least sustain something close to 500, you would think over the next little while, they're not in a situation where they're white knuckling the final 10 games just to get in. The cushion they built for themselves is only going to help as they try to put themselves in the best position possible come April and beyond.
I think if they finish, guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, if they just go 500, I believe they get to around 93 points. I think that's the number they get to. And if they go one above or get a loser point, they're at 94. I think 94 is the number. But regardless of that, I'll tell you why they're going to withstand it, why they're going to continue to win. It was really important that Timmy Stützle got a break at the Four Nations. He was wearing down. He looked like people understand how hard it is for forwards to play 21 minutes. And there was a lot of nights when he was playing over 20. Remember those pictures of his face we had, Wally? He looked like he was beaten to a pulp. He had marks all over his
black
face.
Eyes.
Black eye. He took a puck in the face. And he just, of all the guys that needed a rest, he needed one. And he got it. And look how he's played since the Four Nations break. You know what else was really important? People were saying, "Oh, Brady's hurt." I think they gave him that rest on purpose, not just because he was a little hurt, because he needed a rest, because he needed to come back. That was so emotional what he went through those Four Nations games. So that was extremely smart, giving him some extra time to rest. And lo and behold, how well has Brady played since the Four Nations? So two guys that got a rest. So people ask, well, what about Sanderson? Well, easy answer. Sanderson's not human. He's like a cyborg. He doesn't need a rest. I don't know how it's possible, but this guy just keeps going. And it's almost unexplainable. It's how did he start off his career with Ottawa like he did. Like it's just some guys, they're just like, certain breeds of dogs that don't get tired. It's like that. Like it doesn't make any sense. He's like a greyhound or something. He can just go and go and go and go.
Doodle, whatever Barry is, because Kyle's dog never stops.
Barry doesn't tire, Kyle.
No. And Gertie doesn't move.
Playing.
Yeah. So Gertie's like, "Are you gonna go away anytime soon?"
Yeah.
My Charlie's like that too. But as the doodle gets older, they do chill out. But so I think they're going to withstand it. I think they'll be better than 500. Like they've got an opportunity. Like this game against Montreal coming up is obviously very important for Montreal. But if they can keep it going, Ottawa, man, it is not out of the question that they can catch either Toronto or Tampa, because the other guy that hasn't played a lot of hockey this year, and he's probably their most important piece, is Linus Ullmark. Like he's been great, but like now, like he doesn't have the hard miles on him that a lot of other teams' goalies have from this year because he's had injuries. But looking at those injuries now, glass half full instead of glass half empty, it's going to turn into a good thing because he's rested too. So they've got a lot of good things in their favor. But the most important thing is the way Travis has these guys playing right now. Kyle, you remarked on it from last game. They play on top of the puck. They don't beat themselves, and they make it really tough on other teams. And when they do get opportunities, look how Ullmark's playing. And the great thing about Ullmark, guys, after letting that goal in against Toronto, look at his response after that when he mishandled it. Like he made some massive saves. Mentally, you got to be extremely mentally tough to make those saves after you've done a gaffe like that on a Saturday night, national TV in Toronto. You mishandle the puck. A lot of goalies the Sens have had in the past would have like buried their head in the sand, and that would have been it. But Ullmark, that's a great sign, guys, when your goalie comes back and plays that way. So I think they'll do it, and I think they'll play above 500 down the stretch.
And just quickly, I thought it was interesting you mentioned that on Ullmark, that a few guys in the post game, Sanderson being one, like went out of the way to point out, like when that happened and Ullmark gave up that second goal, that conversation on the bench was like, he's going to lock it down from there. Like there's that belief and trust between the players and the goalie. I know Elliot uses this line, Jason, where I think for a lot of players, certainly in the NHL nowadays, it's like, it's not about the saves that you make. It's like the goals that you give up. And that could have been a real damning one there. But I think it speaks to kind of where he's at, the level he's playing at, and the rest of his teammates' ability to recognize that, okay, bit of a misplay there. Puck came off hot off his stick with how it was rolling off the boards. He's going to be just fine, and he was.
Yeah, he really was.
By the way, Jake Sanderson is since January the 25th, which is his last 18 games, is second in defenseman scoring in the National Hockey League, trailing only one Cale Makar.
Wow, that's pretty good company
from another
there.
planet.
Yeah.
Did you see his post game with TNT last night or yesterday afternoon? Colby Armstrong was like, "Cale, what planet are you from?" Yeah, she asked him that question. Cale's like,
it gets crazy. Like Makar's not a huge guy either. Like, what is he? I think he's 5'11". Like he's going to win the Norris this year. I actually think, and
really,
people might disagree with me on this. I think he's the best player in the NHL this year. I do. I think he's the best player in the NHL.
Leon Draisaitl is on line one for you.
Yeah, Makar controls the entire game. Every shift he's out there. I'd have no problem giving him the Hart Trophy. No problem.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I'm sure, would agree with you. I mean, Zach Werenski's had a hell of a year. There's a goalie in Winnipeg that's continuing to do great things. And then Makar's teammate McKinnon has been still
crazy,
unbelievable. Sorry, who is it in the chat here? Oh, referencing the Colby Armstrong commercial from was it? Oh gosh, what? I don't want to give anyone a free plug, but the Colby Armstrong. That commercial is rent free in my head too.
The Desjardins one.
That's the one. Yes. That's right.
He's got the Desjardins suit on.
Yeah, shows up in the kitchen. Oh gosh, one of the best.
Producer Jake has chimed in on the chat here. He's got Lane Hudson over Cale Makar in his opinion. Massive Habs fan, our producer.
Yeah. So, hang on, go back for a sec quickly, and we're going to run out of time. Who is your MVP, Kyle? Who right now are you giving the Hart Trophy to? And by the way, you also paused on the Makar as Norris, which I'm not shocked because I
Well,
don't
no,
think he's going to win the Norris.
Yeah, I just again like because of how great of a year Werenski has had, like I just think he's got a lot of momentum going behind him too. It's tough. Like it's been a real pleasure voting on the awards the last 2 years. It's quite the exercise to go through because I mean it's not like you're just picking one guy for each award. Like it's 5 guys deep that you've got to fill out a ballot, and you obviously every selection you make there, like you want it to be informed and to have some thought behind it there because it's history we're looking at here in the end. But MVP for right now, it's like, man, it's as crazy it is to say, if like I'm kind of leaning Hellebuck a bit, but if Vancouver gets in, it's like that Quinn Hughes conversation is going to be a real interesting one.
He's been good
because I know it has been the biggest of soap operas there this year. But if you guys look like they're 2 completely different teams in 2 completely different leagues when he is on the ice versus when he is not on the ice. And when you look at the definition of the award, and just so for all those reasons, like I keep coming back to his name here a little bit. There's a lot of great names in that conversation, and there's a few awards that I think there's going to be a great battle. The Calder too. I know Jake bringing up Lane Hudson, like that's another fascinating one. It's been really cool to watch.
Kyle, is Jake Sanderson somewhere on your Norris ballot?
He's -17, Yorkie.
That's a question.
It's coming. Like the interesting thing with him is, so we mentioned a bit on the show on Saturday was that, so Alex Adams actually got the quote out of him, I think it was earlier this week, that he started working with Jonathan Sigalet, a skills coach, and partway through this year, and my understanding is it was shortly after the Four Nations rosters were initially announced back in December. I mean, I read that as like that's a guy who I think was clearly disappointed that he wasn't part of that roster listed initially, was not happy with his year to that point, and was like, I got to start doing something different to change things. So I think, Sigalet came recommended, and the things that they've been working on, it's been all virtual. They haven't been on the ice together or anything. I imagine that would come in the off season, but just kind of through video and conversations. And the one thing that Jonathan kind of saw in Jake's game early on in the year was that he's a guy that's got such unbelievable skating ability, but just wasn't utilizing it enough, like taking the opportunities to jump the gap and get up in the rush. But now you're seeing that, right? And then with that, the confidence, you think about that goal a few weeks back against Nashville, and then that shot on Saturday. Like I love when he said in the post game where he's like, I had a chance earlier and I missed. Like I know Brady was kind of there at the side of the net when he got it again, but he knew exactly what he wanted to do with it and didn't make a mistake. I go back a few years ago too with him when he was still establishing himself, having a conversation with him and Ian Mendes before he went to the dark side. But he was just saying, like, there was such pride in him talking about like the defensive side and like blocking shots. Like he was like, oh, like love eating pills. That was the term he used. Like, we love eating pills. I just thought, like, the guy that's been, such a high end draft pick, largely because of the offensive upside on him. And that was kind of how he was wired. And now you're seeing, the numbers start to go up a little bit on the offensive side of things for him, as he's just, feeling better clearly about his game. The little adjustments he's made in season has helped. And as we both know, or we all know, like, this is a guy that takes real good care of himself and takes all that comes with being, a professional athlete. You go back to Nathan McKinnon, he had a line not too long ago about, elite is a lifestyle, right? It's a lifestyle to be elite, and I think we're seeing the benefit here with Jake Sanderson. I think he follows that way of living very closely.
All right, Wally, we're going to squeeze in a little love for our friends at BEI here. As we know, spring is just around the corner. Going to be a nice week this, maybe a plus 15 coming this week. So that means it's time to start thinking about landscaping. And BEI will be there to help you with all your landscaping needs, whether it's aggregate, landscape stone, doing your driveway. They can help you with all those things. So give them a call at 613-432-1120 or go to bonishirexcavating.com. BEI is helping to shape the Ottawa Valley as usual.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, the official partner of the National Hockey League. Download the Bet365 app today and use code NATION to get on the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. And of course, you think you know hockey? Well, play Sobeys My NHL Picks weekly for the chance to win big prizes. A new slate of games opens up every Thursday from now until the end of the regular season, so download the Sobeys app. Pick the winners of 5 NHL games that compete for your chance to win prizes such as the Sobeys grocery offers, up to 150,000 Scene Plus points, or the grand prize of a trip for 4 to this year's Stanley Cup Finals. And I'm already out this week because I picked I lost a game against the Anaheim Ducks. I thought Nashville would beat Anaheim, so I'm out. Or at least down to 4 out of 5.
Tough game to bet on there, Wally. Tough game to bet on.
Well, I thought Nashville's great at home. They're one of the best home teams in the league, I think.
Yeah.
So that's why I went with the Nashville Predators. Quickly, Yorkie, you brought it up. We didn't get to, or I didn't get back to it, is you've gone on a stretch like this to close out a season.
Yes.
I'm just like 96, 97. You went down the stretch. I think you went 7-2 in your last 7. And then just before that, it was a long stretch where you guys are pretty good. I had it somewhere, and I've
It was
4-2 in your last 16.
Yeah. So, and that team I was on, that's the very first team to make the Ottawa Senators team to make the playoffs in modern day history. It was pretty neat because Perry Perner, then assistant coach, used to have a number after every win. This is our magic number we need to get to make the playoffs. So it kind of reminds me what's going on this year because the Senators are in a quest to make the playoffs. I don't know if they have the magic number up there because who knows what that number is going to be, but that's why I think they can do it. Like this current edition of the Ottawa Senators is a lot more talented than that Ottawa Senators team I was on. There's just so many good pieces on this team, and they've made moves at the deadline. We were just a young, probably the original pesky Sens. We just played the right way and we got saves, and it took right up until that last game. All the old school Sens fans remember it. It was the Steve Duchesne goal. It was
a 1-0 win.
We had to beat Dominic Hasek in the last game of the season. Frank Musil even took Dominic out and got him hammered, and it still didn't work because he's one of the best hungover goalies in the league. Nothing, but it took almost that whole game to win that game. But like I said, that's why I think this team can go on a run like that, because they're a better team. They've got better players, and to play in the same kind of system and style that we were playing. The difference is we didn't have the kind of horsepower this team. Like we didn't have a guy like Stutzla. Like we had Alfie, but that was a young Alfie that hadn't come into his own. And we just had a lot of guys that just played hard. So that's why
Sean McEachern's now going to not speak to you. 30 goal scorer.
Listen, Mac knows we were a bunch of guys brought in from other teams that came together and got into the playoffs. And don't forget, back then there was no cap. So you had to play teams like the Rangers that were spending upwards of $80 million compared to our like $19 million payroll. Can you imagine that in today's NHL?
Canadian. You guys were paid in Canadian.
Well, no, some guys were.
Well, Alfie was. Alex Dackel was. Like there was a lot of guys paid in Canadian. By the way, Kyle, do you have to go by any chance? I don't know what your time schedule is because
I'm okay for a bit. Guys,
okay. All right, I just want to make sure.
So listen to this, Wally. Listen to this. So back then too, if you got traded, because the only reason I know is we had a guy on my team in Anaheim that we traded for from Quebec, David Carpa. He was making 180,000 Canadian. So when he got traded to Anaheim, it didn't convert. It was the stupidest rule in the NHL. Like they didn't do it. It's like you make 180 there, you're now making 180 American. Like nice. So you basically, if you, well, but it should have if you went the other way, you got screwed.
Yeah. You don't want to get traded in Canada.
Yeah.
You're like, you made 180, now you're making 180 Canadian. Like it was weird how the NHL was doing stuff like that. But yeah, the cap was nuts. Like Detroit was spending 80 million. So the league there wasn't a lot of, like, you knew at the beginning of the season every year who the teams that would be there at the end were because they spent the most money. It was for all the belly aching with the salary cap and everything, there was a big fight over it. It was a good thing to help parity in the league because now you look in the league and you never know who's going to win every year, right? So it's
now it's all the tax-free teams.
That's what going. Now it's the yes. that's
Vegas
where
and
the
Florida.
advantage lies, right? I'm curious to see, right? Like, what do the next 5 Stanley Cup winners look like?
Yeah.
You've got a bit of a, right? Tampa did it twice. You got mixed Colorado in there, but then Vegas and then Florida.
Washington's not a tax-free destination.
No, but that was 2018. That's a few years ago now. I'm just looking at like the last 5, and I'm curious where the next 5 goes, because it seems like now a lot of those teams that are in those excuse me, guys, those markets, like they figured out how to utilize that angle.
Dallas, Rantanen. It's like exactly. There's no state tax in Dallas, so you're immediately getting a 20% raise. That's how we're able to get Rantanen done.
Yep.
Yeah. So a little bit of a lower number. Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned those stories about what you're getting paid in back. It's amazing sometimes to think that this league has survived over 100 years when you hear some of the stories like that.
What about like Alfie during the lockout he may have lost the most amount of money. He was being paid in Canadian.
Yeah.
And not only that, he suffered the 24% rollback when they rolled all the salaries back. Right. Like he get like, all due respect, I know he was making millions, but he still got hammered quite a bit. Anyway, Yorkie, you guys outshot Buffalo that game 34-17 and
crazy.
1-0.
That's how good Dominic Hasek was. That's like prime Hasek when he was winning Hart trophies. Like
I think he's the best goalie to ever play in the National Hockey League.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
like if you could have one goalie, I'll say in general, if you could have one goalie to play in your Stanley Cup Final Game 7 from the last 30 years at least, who are you taking?
Patrick Waugh.
Oh, I think I'm taking Dominic Hasek.
Taking the French goalie. He's just money when the pressure's on. And he'll fight you too. He's not afraid to fight you either. I'm taking Patty Waugh.
All right, Kyle, who are you taking?
Well, I think a lot of this is kind of, for me, is what I grew up watching, the era I grew up watching.
Roberto Luongo.
No, I was going to say Brodeur. I was going to say another French goaltender. I was going to take Marty.
Fair. I mean, you can't go wrong in the top 2 arguably best goalies. I just think if Dominic Hasek had played
really going on a limb
career, he was the best goalie I ever watched play live.
Yeah,
I will tell you that.
He was. Well, I agree with you. Like in the whole season, I've never seen anything like it. And I played against him. I actually scored on him, Wally. Clap bomb from the point.
It's black and white.
Wow.
Yeah. But you know what else I'd throw into that mix if I just needed to win one game in a Stanley Cup playoff? I'm going to throw another French goalie into the mix. J.S. Jaguar. Great.
Oh my gosh.
Great playoff pressure goalie. Like that 1 year for the Ducks, he was really good. I love my French goalies. That
was the peak of my childhood, Jason. But now the question is do you get Jaguar like the 2003 era Jaguar, or would it have to be under the modern rules of goaltender pad sizing?
Yeah. I can get him as big as I want.
He can still be the Michelin man.
Okay, that's a great choice. He was a hell of a goalie. I loved watching him.
Kyle's an old little known fact. Kyle is an old Anaheim Ducks fan. Remember that when we were in California?
Yes,
Kyle. We had dinner
Remember
with
that.
Paul Correa, your childhood idol.
Yes, that was. I'll never forget how kind you were to make sure, do what you had to do to just allow me to say hi to him. And his brother Steve was there that night too. I remember you had dinner with Paul and Steve. I recall, and I'm like, oh my God, Steve Correa's here. That was really cool. Yeah, what a nice man.
Yeah, great.
Did you have dinner or just get to say hi?
So Jason had dinner, and we had dinner elsewhere, and then Jason was like, "Come by afterwards. You can say hi," because he knew that I was huge fan of his. So it was very nice of him to do.
Nice. Okay. Quickly, by the way, Yorkie's been holding off on this for the entire show. He enjoys watching the fourth line of the Ottawa Senators play, especially against the Leafs. Yorkie, you can take it from here.
Well, I just think the importance of little plays in hockey games, and I'll go back to that game Saturday night, Kyle. Matthew the Rat Highmore. Like just like this guy he's figured out a niche. There's no Cousins in the lineup anymore. And look at this right there. This is summer producer Eric's best work. There's the rat face, and how the replay after he drew that penalty on Ekman Larson when he's lying on the ground there, and he has that perfect rat face, and he's looking
cackling. Yeah,
just cackling. There was no hot mic there, was it? Or could you guys hear what he was saying?
I couldn't. No, not on that one. Not on that one.
But his role, and I love the fact that late in the game when they needed a kill, Travis Green trusts this guy enough to utilize him on the third grouping that goes in on your penalty kill. So he's getting himself a nice little niche in this lineup. And if he doesn't go and draw that penalty, who knows what happens in the game, right? Because they end up scoring on the power play after. But I just think, he saved that goal of the night, albeit he turned the puck over. But you can see why Travis Green likes him. And I hate playing against guys like this, that I call them rats, but it's good to have a rat on your team because he does things like that. Little rat plays when you need him, but he's done a nice job of figuring out what he needs to do to hang around here in Ottawa.
Yeah, because I don't know, again, realistically going into this year, did you see a path where Matthew Highmore could be a regular contributor for the Ottawa Senators? But especially for him, it'd been a while since he had been up in the NHL on any type of regular basis, and so he gets his chance this year, and now you could tell even from the head coach saying we're beyond the whole is this still kind of a almost tryout situation for him here with, he gets the opportunity with some guys out injured for a while. He's fully grabbed hold of that spot. And I think it's a great lesson for anybody in life, whether you're playing sports or any type of an endeavor and trying to get established in your career. You never know when that chance is going to come. So what are you going to do with it? And full marks to him for grabbing a spot here, because to your point, he's there and he's playing a type of game where you're going, we need that right now, every game.
Yeah.
The only question I have is, I think that fourth line's too small. In typical NHL terms, it's a small group that usually doesn't play on your fourth line.
They're not heavy. Truth be told, Gaudette's a better winger, I think, but he's doing a nice, he's doing his thing out there. He's more of a guy, I think, a complimentary guy that drives the net, but he's are they small? Sure. But I think when Cousins comes back, he'll add a lot to that line. And the question is who comes out. That's the next debate.
Well, we'll wait to see who.
Yeah, something will shake down. Something will shake down.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
So I'll agree. Yes, the fourth line, but the top six has gotten heavier and more physical. Even the top nine. The top nine is playing much heavier, much more physical than they were in the past. So I'd rather have my top nine playing that way versus a line that's going to give me 9 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah. That's my only, the lines played well. I don't know, no one would complain about the way the fourth lines played. Just in playoff typical terms, it's always a couple guys 6'2" and play a hard game.
Yeah. But you got to be able to skate. Highmore can move. Zetterlund obviously can move, and that's there's something to be said for that too. Can you just do enough to spend some shifts in the offensive zone, and even if you're up against you got a bad matchup, but you're able to do that, and then the top guys on the bench are going, let's follow this up, and that's how you start to outchange teams and get some momentum going.
I feel like we're building a Brian. I feel like I'm always building a Brian Murray team of 6'4" guys and strong defensemen.
The way Green wants these guys to play, though, you have to be able to skate to play in his lineup. Yeah. And it's even go back to Highmore's penalty he drew. He drew that by being defensively responsible in neutral zone. He stacked the red line, stripped the puck from Lawton. Then the puck went to, I'm not sure, I think it went to Gaudette. He chipped it and another chip, and all of a sudden you're back attacking and you're putting the other team under duress. That's all you want from your fourth line. Play in the other team's zone and just keep putting the puck deep and then making rat-like plays like Highmore's making. And then the other nice thing about that line, Wally, they're fourth liners, but Highmore plays special teams on your penalty kill, and Zetterlund plays on your second power play unit. So they're not just quote unquote big guys playing on your what normally it is, right?
Yep. No, I agree. And that's part of the new NHL, right? We all have to skate and all have to be able, and if they can play in the opposition end the whole time, then they really don't need to be big and physical. But that was my only concern of the old style of National Hockey League players. That's all.
Yeah, I get you. I
thought I had something else to bring up to you, Kyle, but I think we should let you go since you
Kyle's
got to
been
get
here
to the
an
rink.
hour.
Oh no,
No,
sorry, you're in Florida.
today. I just say
That's the question. What do you
Gotta
what's
pool
the
to get
plan
to.
today?
You got to get to the pool.
Is there not is when are the GM meetings?
Yeah, they've started. Yeah, so they'll go till I think early afternoon, and then I think we're getting a little bit of a presentation from Hockey Ops there, just going over what they reviewed, and then we'll see from there kind of what they've discussed. But I imagine, after we saw expanded 3-on-3 at the Four Nations, that's going to be a talking point. Usually things like coaching challenges is always brought up, and just little ways that they can try to make things better without the law of unnecessary or unintended consequences. So those are going to be things. I mentioned the schedule earlier too, and a few others. Like it's there's always lots of ideas that come out of these couple of days down here. But as you know, this is something that has to be. There's a competition committee if there's any rule changes that they actually want to push forward. There's the players component too that they have to agree to before it actually is put into practice.
And by the way, the winter meetings, they just discuss things, right? Nothing ever gets approved until the summer.
Right, because it's to say you got to go through the competition committee if something's actually going to go in terms of rule change. Yeah, the one in November usually is in Toronto. I think it's typically Hall of Fame weekend there, right? And it's just like a few hours on one day. Like there's not a lot of time to really dig into things. And like now you're going to see guys like Stephen Walkham and those within Hockey Ops put together some presentations of kind of what's on their mind and what they want to really dig into here. So curious today to see where that all goes.
What hotel are you guys at?
Oh yeah.
No, is this the Breakers?
No, it's not. We're at the O, just a little bit south of there. Still in Palm Beach or Manalapan, but a little bit south of here. They must get a good deal with the league here because the last few meetings have been at this same hotel. Lovely.
So
spot.
I did the last one I did. It was the Ritz-Carlton, but it was in Naples, which was beautiful. But I remember just one day hanging out at the pool with like Brian Burke in the chair next to me. I was like, this is just
two salty guys. Two salty guys.
There's some stories between the two of you. Yeah.
Can we get some service around here for God's sake? What's it got? Damn it, sucks. This place sucks.
I want my beer at 32 degrees. Yeah.
Yes.
Kyle, you're getting an unbelievable bicep workout today, by the way. You're not going to need to go to the gym. You've been holding that mic now for an hour.
Yes. I just got to do the right side now. Yeah. Left's all good. I want to be like this.
I appreciate your time, Kyle. Thank you for hopping on to entertain us.
Thanks, Jeds. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Congratulations again on your accolades. And appreciate how interested your viewers are. It's a lot of fun to interact with everybody here.
Appreciate it. Kyle. Thank you, my friend. Take care. There goes Kyle Bukauskas, who's hanging out in Florida. He is the host of 32 Thoughts podcast with Elliot Friedman.
Yes, he's just
come along.
It's come a long way. One of the best guys in hockey. One of the nicest people in hockey.
No, it's just in general.
I like to say hockey. It's kind of like saltiest man in hockey, smartest man in hockey, nicest man in hockey. Because we do that hockey. That's who we do.
Okay.
I can't believe he held the mic for an hour. That is.
Wait a second.
Kyle's a big CrossFit. We have mic stands. Kyle was holding that mic for an hour.
So apparently you don't remember. I was in Thailand holding a microphone for an hour.
Were you? Yeah, but you were kind of sauced on the show, so you didn't even realize what you were doing. That was a different time. That's when you were Zen Wally. You're relaxed. You're relaxed. You're having G&Ts by the pool. You're doing cannonballs. Now you're back and you're destroying coffee cups and you're salty again, the way people like you. Nice and salty.
Okay, fine. I need you to take care of Tim Hortons.
Okay, I'll take care of Tim Hortons. Canada's favorite contest is back, as we all know. Roll Up to Win is back at Timmy's, and that means you could win millions of amazing prizes with just the swipe of a thumb. You can turn that routine Tim's run into an unforgettable vacation with sell-off vacations or $1,000 Rakuten cash prize or an all-new, all-electric 2025 Volkswagen ID Buzz. So that simple joy of winning a free coffee or donut can make anyone's day. But you only have... Did you play again? You didn't win?
I didn't win.
Oh, well. Next time. Better luck next time. So this goes until March 23rd. So open up that Tim's app and get rolling. It's your game, Canada. So don't let this chance of to win $1 million. Oh, Charlie's barking. To win millions pass you by. Play Roll Up to Win on your Tim's app today.
I want the van. I think the van would be cool to have as the official coming.
It's cool, eh? The retro, the official. Imagine the retro ID Buzz coming in with the coming in. If we had like a logo on it, like would it be pictures of us or would it just be the show? I think it'd be pictures of us.
Yeah,
like you.
Just a little picture of you down by the bumper, then me just full on the side.
I like your cartoon avatar where your face is always in a scowl. It's like it's just always irritated.
Okay, fine. And finally, the official pizza of Coming In Hot is Gabriel Pizza, the official pizza of the Ottawa Senators. Download the Gabriel Pizza app today. Earn points with every purchase on the app and get exclusive deals with the Gabriel Pizza perks. Don't forget, as always, the Sens score 4, which they seem to be doing on a regular basis of late, including on Saturday night. You get 40% off any 9-inch pizza the day after the Sens score 4 when you order on the Gabriel Pizza app. So Yorkie, a big, monstrous, huge, humongous
Massive
game tomorrow.
Bigger for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yes, but if you're Ottawa and you win, this solidifies you in the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned. 8 points. I think it puts you 8 points up on Montreal.
It's if Ottawa wins this game in regulation, it's gonna make it Montreal can still catch. Well, the Rangers now they got a couple of games in hand. It's gonna get really tough for Montreal if they lose this game. This is a massive game for Montreal because Ottawa can lose the game and whatever. There's still the number of games keep ticking down for everybody else.
But if you have an 8-point lead to a playoff spot,
you're good. You should be good. You should be good. But you never know. Like it's not done until it's done. Ottawa's just put themselves in a great situation. Somebody just on the chat. It's like what's going on this weekend, Wally, at Sawgrass. I know you're not a golf guy.
I watched it.
The 17th Island Green at Sawgrass. You never know. You could dump 5 balls in the water and miss the playoffs. So
let's stop reading the chat. I'm going to go to, do you know how long ago the Ottawa Senators were out of a playoff spot?
How many years?
No. This year, how long ago were the Ottawa Senators out of a playoff spot?
I don't know. Entertain me, huh?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Okay.
2 weeks ago, they sat outside of a playoff spot.
Yeah, by a point.
Okay. Does it matter if it's a point or if it's outside of I'm just trying to point out how things have turned around in the course of 2 weeks.
Oh, that's what winning 6 games will do for you in a row.
Right? Toronto used to sit in first.
Yeah.
It's interesting how much has changed in the course of 2 weeks. That's the only thing.
Ottawa's through their good play since they've got on this streak, they've put themselves in a situation for most of the year hasn't really existed with none of the wild card teams have really been able to separate themselves. And that's the good thing Ottawa did. Even when they were kind of struggling, they never really fell that far behind. Like you never got into a position where you had 6 or 8 points or whatever it is. So that's why, like for Montreal, like their margin for error is you lose this game, you're in a lot of trouble because then you got to start relying on other teams to win and lose, and you start standings watching. But for Ottawa, I've been saying this for a while. It's a great position to be in control of your own fate. You take care of business, and you're going to be good. And that starts against Montreal. It's going to be a massive.
Those 3 Columbus games still loom huge.
Yeah, Columbus is done. Columbus is done.
No, I'm not. It's not the Columbus. It is just you got to win those games, and I think Columbus has played fairly well. It allows them to hang around. You imagine if you put 6 points up on Ottawa, Like you're right back in it.
Yeah, I think Columbus peaked too early. Like they had their hot stretches too early, and now you're late in the season. They're just. I could be wrong. I've been saying this for 3 months. I kept talking about the Rangers and I kept talking about Ottawa.
Yep.
Just look at the way they got that Shesterkin factor.
Well,
he makes up for a lot of the warts of the New York Rangers, which is their top guys. Here's the difference. If you watch how Ottawa's top guys play in Brady Tkachuk, he plays the game mean. He plays the game hard. You know when he's on the ice. Now you got Batherson playing like that. You got Cousins playing like that. You got Pinto playing hard. You got Amadio playing hard. You've got Ridley Gregg, and now you've got the Rat Highmore. The difference is the Rangers. You've got guys that like it easy, like a Zibanejad. He likes the PP. He likes to be on the outside. Like imagine if Zibanejad played like mean, how good he would be. But for some guys, it's just not in them.
The Rangers were President's Trophy winners last year. Like we shouldn't really be surprised that they make it into a playoff
because of the goalie. It's because of the goalie.
But I don't think Shesterkin has actually had a very good year.
It's been good lately.
And so, but look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's now suddenly won 4 in a row, and then they've recalled Tristan Jarry, and he's ruining their draft pick chances. Anyway,
oh god.
All right, we'll set up tomorrow's game. Tomorrow, the Sens are skating at 11. I got to get to the rink. All the updates tomorrow morning as we come back. I'm trying to think. Oh, Graham is back on the show tomorrow. We have a big show this week of guests, so I won't tell you in case somebody cancels, which is always sometimes possible. So tomorrow, Graham Nichols will join the show as we continue on with our little award-winning chat on the talk show.
Okay.
See you tomorrow, Yorkie. Thanks to
everybody.
Cubs.
Yeah.
See you,
thanks,
everybody. Oh.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.